welcome to Consenz Casual, the first installment of our new podcast, where we'll be discussing some of the lovely new features of our device here, the Consenz Unit. So my name's Alan, I'm going to be the host, and I'm going to be sitting here with our lovely CEO, Anders.
Hi.
So,
hi, Alan. Nice to be here.
Hi, Anders. We've got plenty of topics to discuss on this, but I think today we specifically want to talk about retrofitting.
That's true.
Why?
That's of course a good question. So why do we choose to go down the road of retrofit? And it all comes back to basically the development cycles in the car industry and the fact that for a very long time the software in the car and everything else that is in the mechanical steering and so on has been tightly connected, meaning that actually software decisions also for UI intentions for the driver, they were made 4 or 5 years back. So if you go down the road and look at a car that is maybe even only 3-4 years old, you would definitely feel that, oh, I like this car, it's really good to drive. But what I see here is not really up to date.
Yeah, there's a little bit of a disconnect.
Yeah, you can see a tendency now that car manufacturers are disconnecting a bit these kind of two operating systems and platform, but here we have the opportunity to really work with affordable, modern technology that is aiming solely at supporting the driver, and actually do that with totally different development cycles and an openness. Naturally, I mean, the first step of that is actually to take away the use of your cell phone while driving, which is becoming one of the most important accident root causes, actually, and especially hitting also young traffickants.
I mean, I know personally, whenever I'm sitting in a taxi or with a friend who's driving and they start pulling their phone out, that's a little part of me dies inside because I'm thinking it's not just me; it's whoever's out around the car. It's themselves. It's a very selfish act. Yeah. In the end,
and in fact, it is illegal in many countries today, but still, it's happening.
One of the things that attracted me to joining in with your company in the first place, it doesn't take a lot to install. So retrofitting it into a car, you're really just making sure it attaches to the dashboard, and then suddenly now you've got conversational AI, you've got a heads-up display. I mean, I don't know how well this picks up on the camera, but you can see there we've got the display, which will remove so much distraction from having to look down at something, you know?
No, it's true, and it is exactly as you say. It's also the whole idea here is to make it simple for the user. So basically, what you're doing as a retrofit, you are gluing this part into your dash, and then you stick your unit into this. And you plug in a cable that can work either with your OBD port, but also to your cigarette lighter. Yeah. And that's it, you're good to go. And that means also that basically you don't need to have any tech interest to get this going. It connects to your phone, it uses your phone for whatever is communication when it comes to messaging, calling, so on. And then whatever is related to traffic and actually interaction with your surrounding, it's using its own connectivity and processing power, and you basically concentrate on driving. And here we also see that bringing that kind of retrofit technology with an affordable and capable technology opens up the possibility also to actually go where it's most needed. Of the 1.4 million lives lost in traffic every year, which is a disastrous high number. 95% or more are happening in developing countries.
I mean, I can imagine there are people who have concerns, maybe an adult who has a kid who's just gotten their license and wants to put it in their car, maybe people who are worried about their elderly relatives, you know, and especially with maybe an elderly relative who's stubborn and likes the car they've had for the last, 40 years, then, they can go off and retrofit it into that. Yeah, and it gives them instant access to some of the more modern technology things, and especially for the fact that we're working so hard with the user experience on this.
Yeah. No, and a very common question that we get nowadays is do not all modern cars now come with this technology that you are proposing? And it's definitely true that there is, as I mentioned before, a really positive movement towards also actually directing some of the technology development to the driver interaction. But still surprisingly few vehicles actually coming out. Let's say that even in a country like Sweden, maybe half of the cars, and in the world it's actually the exact figure is 36% of the
Right.
cars, of the new cars, are coming out with an interface that is actually connected to the driver. There is more connectivity in the car, but there is still a high proportion of the development in the car industry that is going to car-centric functionality and also purely for the after-sales interest of selling from a more manufacturing perspective. And that you can see by the usage of cell phones while driving. Even in very advanced cars, you see people still sitting with their phone in their hands. And that's what we want to come away from, to actually let car manufacturers, in our case, they do the car-centric functionality extremely good. And we can take care of only catering for that the driver get the information they need when they need it, and we can focus on that. And by separating these two focuses, we believe that we can also sort of help driving away from using cell phone while driving.